Welcome back to the Tony Snell Show. This up here is Marty. We've got Rocco, and then we also have Q. Let's get right into things.
Let's do it, bro.
So earlier this month, I guess it was what, last week at this point, the
Yeah, yeah.
the Denver Nuggets won the NBA Finals. It's been a while since our last episode, just scheduling issues. But we're back on our grind today. Um, what do you guys feel about the Nuggets winning?
Um, if I could, I just kind of want to start with a question. Um, After this run and after seeing how he played the past couple series, is this kind of like the end of the myth of playoff Jimmy buckets?
I hope
Because
so.
here's the thing. I'm generally speaking, I really am a fan of Jimmy Butler and not only how he plays, but also what he brings to the game of basketball. Just like a fucking no nonsense, just grind it out type of player who's seen like the highest highs, especially looking back to a few years ago when he played against the Lakers in the finals and he had that crazy series, that crazy run, that crazy game, and I think game four where he put up like 40, whatever. But me personally, after watching him, not only like looking at the stat sheet and looking at how inefficient he's been, but also just looking at how he's played and like the lack of an impact, I'll be damned if I see that man treated like fucking God's gift to earth again after this absolutely horrid playoff stretch that he just had. Because yeah, you got to give the Heat as a team, as an organization, credit for getting where they got, but Jimmy Butler, like that team, everything they did in the finals ran through Bam Adebayo. Like the only chance that Miami had that whole series was through Bam Adebayo playing way over his head. Jimmy Butler did nothing that whole series, and so I just wanted, before we get into like how fucking excellent of a team the Nuggets are and everything, because I'm sure we all have plenty to say about that. I just wanted some reactions on Jimmy Butler's lack of performance, lack of excellence.
Personally, I think it's still going to be a thing. I don't see people just giving it up that easily. Because I mean, Jimmy for a few years has really proven that he is like that difference maker in the playoffs a lot of the time. I think this year just he didn't have what it took in the tank, especially with like the like nagging ankle injury and such. And I think people won't be like as like over accentuating his presence as much in the playoffs as like the previous few years, but I think it'll still be like people will still recognize and bring it up, especially like on those really strong nights that he shows. Um, I, so yeah, I think Jimmy Butler still deserves that kind of respect, but I also think people need to like realize he is like as far as goes, he's getting older and he's not really going to be able to carry that full load the whole season like uh, he may have been able to a few years ago. So I don't I, I think it would be unfair to say that he's not as good as he is like in the playoffs usually. It's just like I don't know. It doesn't feel fair to him because of the load that people expect him to carry. Like if he had another like ball dominant player on his team, I think we would still be able to see that kind of impact that we got from him a few years ago in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's just kind of running out of gas in the tank. He's getting older. But I think the first two rounds, you could still make a case that like playoff Jimmy's still a thing. He was dropping like 50, winning the games by himself, but he just kind of ran out of gas. And the Nuggets are just too like talented for him to just do it on his own, which he couldn't. And I think I've never been like super high on this playoff Jimmy thing because like I think in the regular season he just like performs like under his level. So it's like crazy when he like actually is scoring like 50. Because like regular season he takes games off because he's getting older, and he doesn't really put up like crazy numbers like now. But you know he's capable of it. but he just like kind of saves it for the playoffs for whatever reason. But
Here's what I'll say. That man had his first 60-game season this season for the first time in about 5 years. I'm also gonna agree with Marty in the fact that he sits games and he definitely underperforms in the regular season, and I think that's part of why that's what masks into this playoff Jimmy, where it's like he's gonna go crazy, but he's underperforming in the regular season. Like it's not even like he's performing good and then he's performing at like a higher level. He's just playing mid in the regular season for Jimmy Butler on Jimmy Butler standards, and then he just oof that prime's hitting, and then he just goes off he just goes off in the playoffs. Here's what I'll also say: everybody talks about like playoff Jimmy, and in that playoff Jimmy series when it started against the what was it, the Lakers? Is that when that talk started?
Yeah, more or less.
Around that playoffs, he averaged 22 a game, and then this season for the playoffs, he averaged 27 a game on like good splits, like well, good, 47, friggin' 80 from the line, 36 from three, but like those are good splits for him. So I don't like people are saying he fell off. He can't do it all alone, and he put up more in this playoff post run than he did in like the what people quote as the original Jimmy Butler post run. So I don't really know. I also don't like it just because of the fact that he underperforms in the regular season and sits games and load management and all that. But that's just me.
Yeah,
To be
that's fair.
Oh,
Go ahead.
just real quick. To be fair, though, a lot of players do load manage all the time, and it's so like I don't know. Like I get the, I mean, sure he may not play up to his full potential in the regular season, but I don't think he's like half-assing it necessarily either. Like he's still playing hard. He's just not as focused on his role in the offense, I think, as he is when it gets to postseason time.
But he's playing
Rocco, were
33
you gonna say
minutes.
something, bro?
Hold on, he's playing
I'm
33
sorry,
minutes a
bro.
game
I
in the
had
regular
my
season.
brain's off. Nah, but I mean, I don't know. Do you think it's like a intentional thing that Jimmy just like? Do you think Jimmy decides to take games off in the regular season, or do
Yes.
you think it's like he doesn't like? Do you think it's kind of like a subconscious thing where like the bright lights of the postseason just brings it out of him that he plays to the level where he plays, or do you think it's like a conscious choice? Like, okay, I don't need to give my all. Like, I know we're gonna be a 6 seed. I don't need to fucking try on a Tuesday night versus the Hornets.
I
You know
think
what I
it's
mean?
that. Bro, he's
I
playing 33 minutes in the regular season. For context, 40-year-old LeBron's playing like 36, 37.
I think I disagree with Q personally. I think that the the player that Jimmy Butler is wouldn't allow him to just make the decision like I'm not gonna play well, like I'm not gonna go all out tonight. Like it just doesn't feel right with him as like a person. It doesn't match with his personality. I especially like seeing where he came from and like the improvement season after season that we saw earlier in his career. Like I don't see him being that kind of guy who just takes nights off because he's like this game doesn't matter that much, so I'm gonna take it easy.
I also agree that he doesn't take nights off. It's more just I think he like falls into the system of the offense, and like in the playoffs you see him like take the ball and like I'm gonna get this bucket. And I think the regular season he just kind of like plays how he should be, like just pass it, but not like go get his. He's just kind of like in the motion of the offense.
Yeah. Um. Anyway, moving past Jimmy because I'm sure he'll be back next postseason, whether they get Dame or not. I'm sure he'll make noise again, and we'll have more to talk about next year. But anyway, the Denver Nuggets, like, what a fucking team, and like, obviously Jokic having such like a incredible, like unequivocal season an unequivocal postseason run. We've never seen a guy do what he does on a basketball court before. We've never seen it at that level every single night, and it's like all the memes for like the past 2 weeks have been like he doesn't even take it that goddamn seriously. Like he's just there to fucking be there. That's basically his version of showing up to like LA Fitness on Sundays to like get some runs. He just feels like he shows up, gets paid for it, fucking puts up numbers we've never seen before, and then leaves. It's crazy. But just like looking at the rest of that squad, man, I mean, the guy I really want to focus on the most is like Aaron Gordon, because for me personally, anyway, Aaron Gordon was one of my least favorite players in the league when he was in Orlando, just because he was like a gimmick player. You know what I mean? He was like Blake Griffin without the charm, and Blake Griffin without like the team around him when Blake Griffin was like in his early career.
Who?
And Aaron Gordon.
Oh.
And like I hated everything about that, because like he was just fucking he can jump high and dunk hard. Like that's crazy. We've never seen that before, man. But then fucking to watch the transformation, getting into that system with Mike Malone, and fucking like just learning how to play with those guys, learning how to play that role, improving dramatically in terms of his defensive performance. Like that championship run could not have happened without Aaron Gordon, I don't think. And also Jamal Murray, who, like we see a lot of guys with, especially like guards with knee injuries like that, who like so much of Jamal Murray's game is based on speed and explosiveness. And sometimes we see guards coming off of knee injuries like that who don't really trust their knees anymore, and they don't want to make those explosive plays, or they don't want to like take that extra step, or like fucking go up for a dunk or something, because they don't want to risk getting injured again. But Jamal Murray's just played fucking like as hard as he possibly could all season long, all postseason long, and played his fucking heart out and had a great year. But yeah, fucking what a team.
Yeah.
I think the Nuggets having Aaron Gordon and MPJ at like your forward spots, it's just such like an advantage against a team like Miami. Miami's kind of undersized other than Bam. I mean, Bam's undersized too. He's only like 6'9". But like Aaron Gordon, no one could guard him on Miami. There was no matchup for him. And like you see Miami putting like Cody Zeller out there and like trying to get some size. They're just not good. They just have no chance. And I think Aaron Gordon took advantage of that, and he played great. And I agree with Rocco. Orlando, he was kind of just a gimmick player. Like, he threw down a breakaway like 360 dunk, but that was like his only bucket of the game, and he'd do nothing else. But now he's turned into like he's a like a top tier role player in the NBA.
Yeah, man, I agree. I've got to, I mean, going back to Orlando, I think a lot of the problem with Aaron Gordon was people expected him to be the number one option there. And he just isn't built for that. And I think we have to give a lot of credit to the Nuggets front office for seeing the fit of Aaron Gordon with someone like Jokic, and like they put together like that trade that they did. It seems like they absolutely fleeced the Magic right now. If you look back at what they gave up Gary Harris, R.J. Hampton, and a protected 2025 first round pick, and that's it. And now the Nuggets have a championship under their belt after giving up essentially just a first round pick, because what the fuck has Gary Harris or R.J. Hampton done for the Magic? So you have to give the Nuggets a lot of credit for making that trade and seeing the potential of that fit, because when you think of Jokic, who's really dominant when it comes to passing, who would you want more than like an athletic finisher who can cut to the hoop, it can stretch the floor a little bit? Aaron Gordon is that guy. He's also just been like an amazing hustle player throughout these playoffs. So like there is just like every bit of credit has to be given to the organization for making that trade happen, because I think that was the missing piece in this whole thing. So I mean, it was great trade. And I mean, Jamal Murray, great story, coming back from the injury. He thought he was gonna be traded when he went down with an injury, and the Nuggets like staff told him like, no, you're our guy. We're gonna win with you. And he comes back like last season in the playoffs. He could have come back, but he didn't because like he was cleared by his doctors, but he didn't feel ready. And so like some people gave him some shit for that, but like when he came back, he was just like he felt like or he was really good and ready to go. And I'm glad that he waited until he felt it was right rather than going when he could have, based on what the doctors told him. And like to see him put up the numbers he did in this finals run, it was really inspiring. And like obviously Jokic, unbelievable. He's not. This is his job. He shows up to go to work, and then when his job is done, he goes home and relaxes and buys horses. So like to see someone who has that viewpoint of being in the NBA is kind of nuts, but um, you know, it's that's how he is, and I love it. I think it's so fun and entertaining to watch. But I don't know. I really like this Nuggets team. I think also moving forward, they have a good opportunity to like take over the West for the next couple of years, because they seem the most stable out of anyone in the West right now because they have people locked up for the next couple of years. They have, meanwhile, the other teams in the West are really shaky. I mean, we know the Warriors are who they are, but they're aging and probably aren't going to be able to make any more runs that are that deep in the playoffs. We have someone like the Mavericks who are basically in the shitter right now because they don't know what's coming next because they have to re-sign Kyrie and then if they don't have anything.
Well, they got Luka.
Well, Luka can't do it on his own as good as he is. He needs to have at least something with him, and there's not. And then I mean, the Lakers, they're aging. They're like I know they made a run, but they have LeBron is almost 40, and Anthony Davis obviously injury problems a lot of the time. So the consistency may not be there as far as like whether or not he could play. So I think I mean, obviously, there's a shit ton of other teams. Like the Grizzlies have their turmoil. Obviously, there's so many other teams, and I think the West is really wide open for the Nuggets to take advantage of for the next couple of years. I mean, even the Suns, which I mean, we're gonna get to that later. They just traded for Bradley Beal,
I
but
have
we'll get to
some
that later.
opinions on that.
I think that they're gonna see a lot of the similar issues as Brooklyn did with their trio of Harden, KD, and Kyrie. I think it's going to be a similar problem, and I don't know if it works out too well. So I really do see the Nuggets taking over the West for the next couple of years. I mean, obviously, the league is subject to big moves all the time in the offseason, so things could change, but that's what I see for the West right now. So congratulations to the Nuggets.
Yeah, just real quick. I think maybe the funniest thing I've ever seen in NBA media or anything was fucking Nikola Jokic's press conference after he had just won his franchise's first ever final, just won his first ever finals MVP, cemented himself as like one of the top greatest centers of all time. And he's sitting there, and they're like, "So you excited for the parade?" And he goes, "There's a parade? Fuck, dude, I want to go watch my horses." That's the funniest shit in the world.
Not to
That's
mention
so
that
good.
Not to mention that he lost the Finals MVP trophy.
Wait,
That
I
was
don't know if
funny.
you guys.
He lost and
Yeah,
found
he
it.
lost.
Oh,
He
yeah,
found
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I didn't know he found it, but I
He
knew
found
he
it like
lost
12
it.
hours later.
Yeah, because they asked him about it, and he's like, "I don't fucking know, dude. I left it with Ernie. Yeah, he said he was gonna take care of it." That's crazy.
Here's what I'll say. Shout out the Nuggets. That's such a good team. One thing nobody here talked about. Mike Malone is a coach. Mike Malone is a really good coach, and he used his assets really well. I also want to shout out the role players of that team, like Bruce Brown. Christian Brown stepped up as like a rookie when he needed to. Uh, Jeff Green at 36 was still playing a great role. Aaron Gordon definitely also great role. KCP got his second one. Yep. But like when you look at like a roster, that roster shows that it's not about having all these superstars. It's about having two really good guys and a bunch of people to play around that. And I wish teams would mimic that more instead of just building all these super teams with like 3 and 4 superstars because it never works. In history's time, when's the last time that's really worked outside of the Warriors, who were just like dominating? Because it hasn't worked since.
You could make the argument that that Cavs team that stole one from the Warriors was a super team.
No,
Because
no,
Kevin Love was
LeBron,
a lot
Kyrie, and Kevin Love, you're forgetting that Kevin Love was who he was
Nah.
back then.
no. But that
Because
was
here's the
post-injury
thing.
Kevin
If-
Love, who was like, eh.
Yeah, he wasn't.
That's true.
I don't
And
know.
if you look at like the way that team was orchestrated at that time, because like if that team was the way it was like 3 years before that, it would have been a super team. Like before Kevin Love started to like decline as he aged and like injuries and shit. But like if you look at like who was scoring and who was like getting the ball on possessions, where the touches were going on offense, like that team was not a super team at all. Because you had a clear number one, a clear number two, and then a clear number three. With a super team, that's the big flaw with super teams is that a lot of times there's not a clear pecking order in terms of who's the first option, who's the second option, who's the third option. And like the thing with the Nuggets is like you were pointing out, like the other thing about how that team was built is the fact that there's zero ego in that locker room whatsoever. Like everybody's just there to focus on the team, and it's because they built with role players. They didn't build with like trying to bring in stars from other teams, or they didn't like it was all built in house with like free agents that they nabbed here, like a guy they traded for, and like players they drafted and everything. But it was all built in house, and I think it played to Mike Malone's strengths as a coach very, very well because we don't really know how Mike Malone deals with superstars. We've never seen him deal with a superstar outside of Jokic.
And Jamal
So-
Murray, you could argue.
He's not a superstar. I love him. And like maybe that could change after this postseason run, but as we sit here right now, he's not a superstar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, he hasn't even really made an All-Star game yet, has he?
I don't
I
think
don't know.
so.
I don't think he's been an
The
All-Star,
only-
so like
the only thing
it
I
would
would
be a
argue
stretch to call him
before-
a
Yeah, you can't,
superstar for sure.
you can't say he's a superstar.
He doesn't.
Doesn't
He doesn't have an
All-Star.
All-Star. Didn't he only as a chip and a rookie team? Yeah.
People
Also,
should be calling him playoff Jamal, not Jimmy Butler. Like he in the
that
playoffs.
man goes
Yeah,
off
dude,
during the
turns out.
playoffs.
Even going back to 2020, he just fucking
Oh
he's
my god.
lethal in the postseason.
I will never forget the battles between Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell in
Yeah,
the 2020
dude.
playoffs.
Yes.
Because that may be the greatest series of basketball I've ever seen. In my,
Nuggets
like-
Jazz is an instant classic. For no
Yeah.
fucking reason, by the way. That series should not have been as fun to watch as it was. But fucking Jamal and Donovan Mitchell going fucking back and forth all series long was so cool to watch.
Mhm.
And that's
No,
one of
but bubble TJ Warren though.
oh my god.
I saw that shit on
Yeah,
my
that's
Instagram
fucking-
yesterday.
That's one of those things that I don't think that would have happened without the bubble. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's just like that atmosphere where all else being equal, just go fucking play 48 minutes of basketball.
No
That
bull.
kind of atmosphere is what allows guys like TJ Warren or Jamal Murray at the time, not a fucking highly touted player. Donovan Mitchell had a rookie of the year, had a few All-Stars, but he wasn't known as like a top,
Donovan Mitchell didn't have a
top
rookie of the
whatever.
year.
Ben
Oh.
Simmons
Simmons.
took it from.
Ben Simmons
remember?
took it.
Oh, fucking
Second
whatever.
year Ben
Fuck.
Simmons.
Okay, dunk contest champion. My bad. I got the fucking word out.
Yeah.
Nah, but seriously, like guys like that just coming out of the woodworks to put on the fucking performance of their lives and get written down in history.
Shit,
Fucking
Tatum started going off
unbelievable.
around then. That's
Huh?
when Tatum really started going off in the bubble.
That's true. That's true. And then we choked away that series against the Heat.
Kemba
because,
choked away that series.
What the
Asshole.
fuck went wrong that year?
Kemba.
There was
Kemba went wrong that year.
oh, it was fucking Kemba. That I knew it,
Cardio Kemba
Cardiac Kemba.
dude. I hated him. So
and
much.
Hayward sucked too.
Okay, but
No,
Hayward
because
got injured.
I
Kemba was just
I
ass.
like Kemba a lot. I think he seemed like a really good energy to have in the locker room. I just don't think he fit the team.
I liked
Yeah,
Kemba until he got
he's
on our
a cool
team.
person.
But
He's a
He hit
cool
a shot.
Also, I just think a lot of people shit on the bubble playoffs, but that may be my favorite playoffs of all time.
Mhm.
Like there were so many moments that I remember vividly from that
Yeah.
because there was not a lot to do realistically. And so I spent so much time watching basketball, probably more than I ever have, and it was so fun for me.
Yeah.
I will never forget the bubble
I remember
playoffs, and
screaming at my TV when the Celtics lost.
everyone's like, it doesn't count. It's not real. I think it was some of the best playoff basketball we've ever seen.
1000%.
Yeah. I think the only thing was like the whole playoff lining situation. That's why people say it wasn't real. But also like I think it was as realistic as it could be for the playoffs based off of what they were already like 60 games in anyways to the regular season. It's not like it was like
Yeah.
it's not like they played like yeah, they played like at least 60 games. 59-60. So it's not like they were on the tail end of the season because
Mm-hmm.
they were a month away from the season ending. Yeah.
And
Oh,
let's not forget real quick that play that those playoffs were where the entire narrative around Devin Booker as a player changed. Because remember, going into the bubble, Devin Booker was known as like empty stats, fucking filling up the stat sheet. Like he was known as a guy who could not win basketball games.
I still think
And
it's
then
the
you go to
best.
the bubble and he hit that fucking like spin fade away buzzer beater to
Falling.
fucking, I think they won, like they rattled off like 8 straight wins or something trying to get themselves in the playoffs. And then
Yeah,
after
they were
that,
8-0 in the bubble.
yeah, after that they get CP3 and they start building that roster, and then 1 year later we see them fucking go crazy, make the finals, and then the next year they're like 64-18. So that's just another and again, fucking how far have the Suns fallen after, dude, they had such a good thing going. The Suns, oh my, I'm pissed. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I,
that Maverick
this
series, Game
yeah,
7, when they lost by like 40.
Yeah.
That was like the lowest. Like,
and
It
like
how
was
do
a
you
low,
fall
low.
that far?
the thing is, the Suns, like the Suns rise from like bottom feeder team in like the mid 2010s all the way up until like NBA finals contender. That was probably my favorite rise of any team that I've seen, other than maybe like the fucking this year's Sacramento Kings.
What about the
Because,
Celtics?
The
well,
Celtics
not,
Do you
were
not remember
always
Chris
like
Humphries?
yeah,
okay.
not because we were always relevant. We were like making playoffs through the 2010s. We didn't have great
No,
teams,
no,
but
no,
No.
no, 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 no. I'm pretty sure you're
You don't
getting
remember
his
the
wrong
Avery
here.
Bradley Celtics?
Do you not remember the
bro,
Chris
Avery
Humphries
Bradley,
Celtics?
Isaiah
Chris
Thompson, since
Humphries.
2016 we haven't missed the
It was
playoffs.
like
That's
we only had
2016.
like
We're all
3
15,
bad
14,
It was like a
years.
13.
couple years. It was a couple years.
As far as rebuilds go, like we didn't have much of one. It was just like it was like
It's a
that. We had like
retool.
2 bad years and then we were back.
Yeah,
The Avery
but
Bradley, Brandon Bass Celtics.
Meanwhile, the Suns hadn't been good since what the '90s and fucking
2000s.
Yeah.
yeah.
and then the Kings haven't ever been good,
They
pretty
were good in
much.
the
So
They
2000s.
what
they
the
weren't
point?
like good though.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to
The
make
Weber
was
Kings
that
are
like
good.
They were okay.
the Suns, like the way that team was built for that finals year and for the year after, right? I swear to God, I've never been a bigger Torrey Craig fan. I fucking watching, no, but just seriously watching the way that team was built, watching the way they played with role players like Jay Crowder, Torrey Craig, Campaign, fucking showing up out of
Don't
nowhere.
miss one. Don't forget one. Don't forget one.
Bismack Biyombo.
No. Mikal Bridges.
Oh yeah, him too.
Oh yeah, him too. You
Did
got
you
it.
say
No,
Cam
but
Johnson too?
seriously, that was they had such a good core going, and they really could have built for the future because everything outside of CP3 was like young talent, homegrown talent,
Him
and
and
then they
DeAndre
fucking
Ayton.
throw it all away last year to trade for KD, and then they throw it all away again to trade for fucking Bradley Beal.
They
To be
didn't
fair, they
throw
didn't
away
give
at
up that.
all.
They didn't give up that much, but just like now the way the team's built, there's no fit, there's no symmetry. They fired the coach that took them to the heights. Like
There's
I hate what's happened to the Suns over the past
there's one more thing I want to say about the Nuggets before we get on this talk about the Suns and the whole trade. The only team in the West that's going to be able to compete with the Suns, I think, is going to be the Kings. Me personally, I only think it's going to be the Kings because the Kings only have up to go from here. And when they were playing the Warriors, I believe the Warriors took to 7. Did they take to 7?
year. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
And even then, I still think the Kings should have won. But because at least when they lost, the games were close. Like one loss was off like a Harrison Barnes miss game winner game tire, and then the other ones were close. I think Sacramento is going to show out next season. I think Mike Brown is a great coach. We saw him as an assistant back in freaking the Warriors system. He was doing fine. Pretty sure he was also the former Warriors coach. I think that team has a loss to show, and that's going to be the only team to be able to compete with the Nuggets.
Yeah.
I think the
West is
Suns are
a
going to
weird
suck.
too.
I
Yeah,
think
it's like all these teams, it's a bunch of old guys, like the Clippers, the Lakers, like, and then you got the Grizzlies. I don't know how the West is gonna look. It's gonna be completely different.
the Thunder are going to be like a
Yeah, the
top
Thunder.
6 seed. I think the Thunder are going to make it past the play-in. I think they're going to be a top 6 seed.
Oh, and the Thunder. I don't think they're going to compete, but I think they're going to show out next season. And I enjoy watching the Thunder play. I will say that, and I haven't said
Oh,
that
absolutely.
in years. I haven't said that since like PG was on the team. But
Absolutely.
I love that team. Now to get on the Suns.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
I want to start off my opinions about this trade.
I'm pissed.
For those of you who don't know, and I have to Google what the trade pieces were. Bradley Beal just got traded from the Wizards to the Suns.
I
Now,
can't believe this shit.
in terms of what the whole trade was, can somebody show me what the? I fucking hate Google.
It was
I can
Chris
tell you this for
Paul-
sure. The Wizards didn't get a single damn first round pick for Bradley Beal.
So
That's crazy.
the Wizards received Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, a bunch of second round picks, and then a bunch of pick swaps, all for the Suns to get Bradley Beal. Now here's what I'll say. This would be a great trade if the Suns didn't have Devin Booker. Because Devin Booker is basically a carbon copy of Bradley Beal. Damn near. Scoring first. Actually, here's how much I think Devin Booker is better than Bradley Beal by a lot. Everybody gassed up Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is the definition of empty stats. That man has never had a winning season. And I don't care how much he averages. That man has 3 All-Stars, 1 All-NBA on empty stat lines. At least Devin Booker has some winning, like making it to the finals. I don't think Bradley Beal's ever made it out like the second round. At least since John Wall was there. Which is crazy to me. And so now you also got to think about it. That's going to be some of the worst spacing on a basketball team ever. Because you're going to have Katie at the 4. What are you going to do? Are you running Brad Beal at the 1? Where are you running Brad Beal? Because it's not like where's Devin Booker going? Because if you run Brad Beal at the 3 and Devin Booker at the 2, so what? Cam Payne's now starting at the 1. So now you got, and then Ayton at the 5. No one's passing the ball. No one's passing the ball.
They're definitely running either Booker or Beal at the 1.
In that case, no one's getting.
There's no shot in hell that they're letting Cam Payne start when he's not really a very great passer as far as point guards go. He's just like he's a little, I would say even a little under average as far as passing goes for point guards.
Yeah, Cam Payne is a passer.
They already have enough of not very good passing, so they might as well just have to find a good a solid 3 or 4 to fit into their starting lineup, and
no one on
rather
that
than
team's going to be
force
passing.
another guard into the line. Because if Cam Payne is playing the point starting, then fucking Booker is running the 3, which is crazy.
Brad Beal would go in the 3 because he's like 6'5".
6'3".
No, Brad Beal's like 6'5", guys.
No, he's not. He's like
6'9".
6'3", 6'2".
He's 6'4". Oh shit.
6'4", 6'3", 6'4".
Isn't Devin Booker like 6'6", 6'5"?
I think he's 6'5".
So I would say they run Booker at the 3, so they can't do that. They have to run Beal and Booker as the 1 and 2, whichever one runs the 1. I don't know, but I hate this trade for both sides because the Wizards did not get enough back for Beal, and I think Beal works well for fucking most teams in the league, not this one.
This is the worst trade that could happen.
It's frustrating because the Wizards didn't get enough back. The Suns are gonna have terrible fit.
Hold on.
They don't have a real point guard. It's so
I did not
bad.
get to this point. For the Wizards, I like the trade actually because
Why?
no, I want to think about who's on that team. They have Kristaps Porzingis, they have Kuzma, Daniel Gafford. The one thing that the Wizards were missing was like a true point guard, and if the Wizards end up keeping Chris Paul, I think it's going to be a better fit than people expect.
I think they were
He's like
missing a
40.
lot more than one thing.
And Beal's like averaging 30 points. Look,
Oh
I'm
my
convinced the
God.
Wizards are never gonna try to win. Like
No.
we've seen for so long, like they've just been terrible.
They're like the
And,
fucking
like-
Pittsburgh Pirates of the NBA.
Yeah, they haven't
They
tried to do
stopped
anything.
caring in years. They stopped caring a fucking decade ago. They stopped caring when the Dougie was still fucking relevant. That's how long it's been.
The Dougie.
Look, I don't know. Yeah, the Suns, they're gonna be a shit show. They're no ball movement. Everyone's gonna try to get 30, and someone's gonna get mad and like request a trade. That's
It's
what.
gonna be KD. KD's
I
gonna
do.
get mad and request a
KD's crazy.
trade. Wouldn't
Yeah.
be the first
one
time.
thing, the one thing I do think we'll see this season is I think Bradley Beal can be that kind of guy to like take a step back and like let other people take over. We haven't seen him with anyone other than John Wall in his career.
Russell
He's
Westbrook.
had to do
Russell
what he's
Westbrook.
doing.
Russell Westbrook.
Who?
Russell Westbrook.
Russell
Russ
Westbrook.
was already like on the decline a little bit. but
No,
he
no, no,
can-
no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no, no, no,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna
He
do that.
was.
I know
he
he
was.
put up
He was
with
on the.
it.
I didn't say he was bad. I didn't say he was bad. I said he was on the decline. There's a difference.
I think
You-
the scoring
you-
was down, but he's still like he was still getting assists. But
Dog, he was
definitely
averaging 22, 12, and 12 with that team.
Here's
And
the
what did
thing.
he average the year before?
That was
What did he
that
average
was-
the year before?
27 on the shitty Houston Rockets.
that
It's
was
the decline.
Tell me you've ever seen a quieter fucking triple double average.
It wasn't-
Nobody has ever.
No, it wasn't
made
that it was
less
quiet. It
noise.
was that nobody was watching the Wizards because it's the Wizards.
Bro, here's the thing. People would have watched them if they were making any sort of noise whatsoever. Fucking
could-
Russell.
You can't tell me that when his scoring dropped off by 5 points per game, he wasn't on the decline.
It wasn't the first time it dropped off.
I didn't say it was. I said he was on the decline.
yeah, I wouldn't count that as like another star to run with. Like at that point, Westbrook wasn't.
No, he was still
Wow.
really good.
Wow.
He was
Like, he was
still
good,
really
but,
good.
like,
This is getting
in terms
out
of,
of
like,
hand.
Beal
I was
playing
just
with, like,
saying he was
someone
on the
better than him.
decline.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Bro, he went like 6
We're-
seasons of just scoring and then not scoring. Like
Where
14,
even
15, he
was-
averaged 28. The next season, he averaged like 23. Then he went up to 31. Then he went down to 25.
Okay, hold on. So 25 was no 20. You said 22 was the Wizards year, right?
22 was the Wizards' year.
What came the next year?
18, 15,
And the
15.
year before it was 27. That's
And
a
then-
decline.
But also the year before that,
Okay.
the year before the 27, it was 22 again.
Yeah, but Q, I'm really struggling with you today. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, besides the point,
Yeah.
I
Nine
think
AM.
Bradley Beal, when he's with a real superstar, like other real like high level players, I think he will be able to take that step aside to let other people be that guy. I don't see him being a very good passer though, but I can see him like every once in a while just like sitting in the corner letting other people do their thing. And like I just don't think this was the team to do that. I think there's so many better options for him to play beside great players. This one won't work.
It won't.
So, okay. The thing is, right? So, Ben, as you were saying, Brad Beal might have to be the guy who just sits in the corner and does jack shit, right? If Brad Beal isn't the one scoring the ball, what the fuck value is he providing for the team? Because he's not playing defense. He's not passing the ball. He's not moving off ball. He's not doing anything. And I know that he could be the guy to like fucking develop that part of his game. And I'm not going to put that past him because he's been a great player in years past. But we can't just like automatically assume he's going to learn how to do all that shit at an NBA fucking all NBA caliber level on the fly in fucking year like 10 or 12 or whatever it is. Like we can't assume that he's going to be that guy. Also, the Suns, right, have 5 players under contract right now. 5.
How
And
the hell?
among those 5 players, they have $163 million tied up for this year. They can't even fucking add a 6th man without going over the luxury tag. It's unreal. Like, there's so many holes in that team now, more so than there was before the trade. And there were plenty of holes before the trade, and now there's even more. And you can't even plug them because all you have is a mid-level exception, which like you can go over the salary cap for that or whatever. But like okay, you need a point guard, you need a small forward, you need a fucking backup center, you need a backup 4. Cool. With what fucking money, dude? They have nothing. Their bank account is empty. And so they're hedging all of their bets on fucking aging KD, who's been on 3 teams in the past 5 years, who's never been happy anywhere he's been since like fucking the Obama administration. then we got Devin Booker, who's shown that he can't be a leader and shown that he can't be the emotional heart of a team that goes on a deep run. Because in those runs where the Suns did that, it was always Chris Paul. The one year where they didn't have Chris Paul was the bubble year. And that year, the Suns, they went on the 8-0 run, sure, but they were like fucking 36 and 35 at the end of the year. Like, they weren't fucking good. So who's going to be the leader on that team? Who's going to facilitate the ball? Who's going to fucking give Ayton a break? Because Lord knows he's not capable of playing more than fucking 30 minutes a game. Like,
I would argue he can't even
You know what's
play
crazy?
20.
You know what's crazy?
dude,
It's gonna be KD facilitating the ball.
Huh?
I want to put something in context. It's gonna be KD facilitating the ball.
Oh.
That's gonna be so nasty. Because the only person who's proved that they can also like facilitate and still score is KD.
What's
If we're being real.
the average in a year?
Hmm?
It can't be more than 6.
Assists for KD, he asked.
It's 5.5, 6. Oh, 6.5.
Oh.
And that was with Brooklyn. That was with Brooklyn in the year where it was Harden and Kyrie.
That's him like playing alone. Those guys didn't play.
Yeah.
So that's him playing
Those
with
are
the scrubs.
That's him with Nick Claxton.
Yeah.
Click Nick Claxton pick and roll.
Booker
So
has
that is-
averaged 7 assists, but that was in
Oh,
2017. 2018. So who was on the team that year? On a side note, I want to bring up Brad Beal hasn't played 60 games in a while. Brad Beal has been injured for the last like 5 seasons. If they wanted to get rid of Chris Paul due to injury, and you pick up a guy who's less reliable in games, somebody needs to check the general manager. Because whatever
Fucking
he's
Brian
smoking,
Colangelo, dude.
whatever he's smoking, dog.
What is he? Is he the son or father of Jerry Colangelo from fucking Philadelphia?
Fucking
no idea.
I just the only thing I know about Jerry Colangelo is he was the dude with like the burner accounts. He had like 8 fucking Twitter burners, and every time the Sixers would do something fucking stupid, everybody would call him out on Twitter, and he would get on all 8 of his burners and just be like, "Fucking hey, what he did was actually a very smart basketball move."
Guys,
I know there's some relation.
James Jones is the GM.
Oh yeah.
What is James Jones doing?
I'm mistaken.
They need to fire that man.
Does anyone else have anything insightful other than hating on this Brad Beal trade or?
Dude, they fucking stink. That team.
I mean, they'll still make the playoffs.
Yeah,
they might
absolutely.
Not. They might actually not.
They might not.
No, they'll make the playoffs, but they're not gonna make much of a push at all. I don't think. Anyway, I do have one question as a segue. Does Brad Beal getting moved open things up for the reality of a Dame Lillard trade?
Bro, he was getting traded regardless. No, he wasn't.
I don't think that's true.
No. They said they're getting rid of Simons. They said they're trying to pack Simons with the pick.
Huh?
Yeah, they said like last week that they were trying to pack Simons with the pick. Like they wouldn't mind packing.
They want to keep Dame.
They want to keep. Yeah, they want to keep Dame in shape.
But does that change because we saw someone like Brad Beal move, someone else who is like super loyal to their team and didn't want to get moved?
He
Do
was
we
not
see
loyal to
Dame
the
then
team.
request a trade
He was not
because
loyal
of
to the
this?
team, bro. He was loyal to that paycheck. He was not loyal to the team, which we need to
He was
also talk
loyal to
about.
that Supermax, dog.
Yeah, like they
Yeah.
supermaxed him. He knows that no other team's gonna freaking supermax him.
Yeah.
Um, well,
The Wizards are
I would
dumb.
argue that it would actually make a Dame trade less likely, only because, like, so if I'm Portland's GM right now, I look at the value that Washington got for Brad Beal, and they got fucking nothing. And the fact that the Wizards got nothing for Brad Beal, like artificially deflates the value of trading
Oh
like
shit.
aging veteran star. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like with the Paul George trade, how that like inflated the value of a star, and that's how we got like the Rudy Gobert trade years later. Because
Oof.
that's like the going rate for a guy of that caliber was, hey, you got to give up all these first round picks, you got to do all this shit, and now because of that Brad Beal trade, that value's gone down. I don't know how much it's gone down, but it's definitely gone down just because like, well, if you got all NBA fucking third teamer 2 years ago, shooting guard for like aging point guard, fucking Landry Shamet, the most useless player to ever exist behind fucking Chetty Osman, and then like a couple second round picks, fucking
And then,
Shambles
like
was balling out in LA. What are you talking about?
I fucking hate Landry Shamet. I hate his
Shaman's
name. I
solid.
hate his face. I hate
He's
fucking.
solid.
Wichita
I
State
don't
legend.
care. But yeah, if I'm the GM in Portland, I don't want to move Dame now because I feel like I'm not going to get what I should be getting for him.
No, you just
I
have to be intelligent. That's all.
I I do get what you're saying, Rocco. I feel like even I think most GMs in the league realize that Brad Beal is not necessarily the player that you like see him be as that number one guy. I think people realize he's not actually as good as like the numbers may look. And when we look like at Dame, GMs realize that he is actually that good. And so I feel like there's a big difference between the two players, and GMs would realize and be able to offer more than they would for Brad Beal, like a considerable margin. Like I say, if they say if Dame were to request a trade and they were looking at packages, I think that Dame would at least be getting like a solid role player or two and then like 3 first round picks at least. And I
Yeah,
think with the young core that the Portland Trailblazers are starting to build, that could be really useful for their future.
yeah. My only thing is though, so I feel like the value for a start, and I'm not only talking about like a guy of Brad Beal's caliber, because you're right, like Dame Lillard would definitely go for a considerable margin more than Brad Beal went for, because he's just in like at least a tier, if not two, above Brad Beal as a player in terms of like what he's proven he can do, in terms of what he brings to an organization, all of that, right? The point being though, there's there's two like negotiation tactics you now have if you're trying to trade for Dame Lillard in order to give less trade value in return, right? So for one, it's look what Brad Beal went for. Look at what like I can't even think of like another example of a guy like that, but look at what Brad Beal just went for. And then two, when was the last time dealing a star of that caliber worked out? Because if you look at PG-13 for the Clippers, did not work out. If you look at the last one I can think of where it actually, the last two I can think of where it actually worked were Kawhi and AD. But even going back before that, like Rudy Gobert didn't work. PG-13 didn't work. Uh, um, I can't think of examples right now. My brain's just fucking shut off. KD like 3 different times didn't work. You know what I mean? So it's just at the point where like you're taking a massive risk as a team trading for a Dame Lillard, And that's not a knock on Dame as a player. It's just when you bring a player, for one, of that caliber, for two, a guy who's going to demand that many touches, completely changing the chemistry of your offense, and for three, completely changing the chemistry of your locker room, because you're now bringing in a guy who's, made hundreds of millions of dollars in the NBA, has made all NBA teams. You're bringing in that ego into the locker room, which might mess with the balance of what your locker room looks like now. It's just you're taking a huge risk whenever you move a lot of assets for one guy. When you put all of your eggs in one basket, it's a huge risk. And so if I'm a GM trading for Dame, I need to kind of hedge my bets as much as I can and not offer any more than I absolutely need to, just in terms of insurance. And I think Portland's going to run into the issue where each and every team that's trying to trade for Dame is going to do that very same thing, where they're going to try to undervalue him. And at the end of the day, if every team trying to trade for Dame undervalues him, that's just his value at that point. Because if that's the going rate for him, then that's the market value. Like there's nothing Portland can really do.
Pause for a sec.
Shout out Sensei.
Yo, can we pause for a sec? And we're back after an almost audio issue that may or may not be cut. I'm not gonna lie, I may or may not cut it. We'll find out. But we're back, and I believe we just finished up the topic of the Suns and the Wizards and all that shit, and Bradley Beal being ass and all that jazz. So John Morant got suspended for 25 games. Do we think that's enough games for what he has done?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what he did was bad, and he's setting a bad example for all the kids to look up to him and shit. But it's not like he fucking shot a child or something. He's not
oh my god,
he's not a murderer. He flashed the gun, and then the second time supposedly it was a toy gun, right? So
oh my god,
Jesus Christ,
that's an instant TikTok upload right there. You can cut that.
It's not get taken down.
No. But my point being, I feel after getting clowned nonstop on the internet for fucking the last month, 2 months, 3 months, and after getting handed 25 games is a lot. That's a quarter of a season, and that also means he's not getting a quarter of the season's pay. You don't get paid when you're suspended.
Sometimes you do.
Well, sometimes you do, but if you're missing game checks, then you're just not if you're not playing the game, you're not getting the game check.
Buddy, that man don't care.
If you're not with the team. So I feel like the second time around was enough of a wake up call. The first one was a kind of a slap on the wrist. It was 3 games or whatever, 8 games maybe, I don't remember.
I think it was 13 and he already had 8 of them.
But I think the fact that he as soon as that video came out, the second video, as soon as that came out, he immediately took a video of himself with the lighter gun to send to all of his friends and family, pleading with them, please believe me, I'm not that guy. I think that's indication enough that he's learned some sort of lesson here, that even if he is going to carry on with fucking keeping a weapon on him or whatever, at least he's going to be fucking smarter about it. Just make sure you don't get fucking caught next time. It's not but at the end of the day, I think 25 games is enough. I don't see why it would need to go more than that, and I also don't think that it would have been enough if it was less than that. I think less than 25 would have been kind of a disservice to all of the people who were outraged at this, because there has been a lot of rightful outrage at what's happened. Yeah. So I think Adam Silver actually did a pretty decent job, kind of splitting the gap and not going too hard on Ja, but also, making sure that the punishment is there. But yeah.
Yeah. Ja need to go find God. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah, they were saying 40 before they announced the official thing. I thought that was too much, personally. I think 25 is good, though. That's a good number.
I personally was kind of expecting them to do the full 40. I mean, at originally I thought that was right, but like after some extra time between the situation and now, I 25 feels like a little. I would say like 30 would have been better, but it's good. I think it'll still have enough impact on him that it'll make at least some sort of difference. And like you said, Rocco, if he is going to keep carrying a weapon on him, at least he'll conceal it or try to.
He needs
Just
to
get
have,
a fucking permit, dude.
bro.
It's
He's an
not that
NBA
hard.
player. He just needs to have his security carry it. Like, what's the point?
For real. I don't know.
It's like
But-
that Jack Jones tweet.
But yeah, I mean, after looking back to when I thought it was like gonna be 40, and I thought that was like kind of reasonable, I think Adam Silver did make the right decision in making it a little shorter, because obviously it's as big of a deal as people in the media have made it. He didn't do anything all that bad. So
Yeah.
I mean, obviously people trusted him and like didn't and may have lost some of that trust in him after he came back and did the same thing a second time. But I mean, it is what it is, and like people are going to be over it soon enough, and I think that it's a reasonable suspension.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, this whole situation kind of reminds me of like when you like fucked up as a child, or you like did something stupid and then you lied about it, and your parents are like, "I'm not mad that you did what you did. I'm just upset that you lied about it." That's like, it feels like that's this entire situation, except for playing with like multi-million-dollar fucking sponsorship deals and like half of Memphis's season. But like that's kind of like the whole thing, where it's like, yeah, fucking Jaw, don't do that. Don't be fucking stupid. But at the same time, it's more of an issue of like, we need to put our trust in you to be a face of the NBA and to be a role model. And if we can't do that, then we have a serious problem. But again, I think Jaw's going to learn his lesson after the second time around. I don't see why he would.
I hope. One final thing. He's getting paid too much to not. Like,
Yeah,
he's going to lose all that
exactly,
bread.
exactly.
So he needs to just lock in. Just lock in. Because it's not that hard. Do that shit in your private life. Don't do it in your public life.
Yeah.
You're too much of a superstar. You're too good at basketball. You're too good of a... Like brands want him, and he's too good to be doing all that dumb shit to ruin all that. Because it's never that deep. And that's all I'm going to say on it. Lou Williams just retired.
Oh shit! I almost forgot.
After 17 years, that man retired.
That man could have retired a decade ago. I'm sorry. Nah, not a decade ago.
Not a
No, he
decade.
was
That's
solid.
4 or 5 years ago.
I was
maybe.
gonna say, yeah.
Was he on a roster?
I think he was on the Hawks. Yeah.
Hawks?
Right? I don't think he
Let me
got
see.
cut.
I think he might have been on the Hawks.
The last I remember him on a team was the Hawks, but he
Last
couldn't
team he
cut,
was on
like,
was the Hawks, but that was 21-22.
the last season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or this season. Yeah, last season.
I mean, Raptors Lou
Yeah.
Will, legend.
Dog.
Like
man
that
had a
one
career.
story about Lou Will. That one story about Lou Will is crazy. How like he was
McDonald's.
getting robbed at a stoplight, and he's like, "Listen, man, let me take you to McDonald's. We'll figure this out together."
Shit's crazy.
Legend.
I love Lou Will. Drake has a song about him.
Top 5, 6 man all time. Is that?
I would say
Top two in the
3
82.
for sure.
I'd say top three.
Top three.
Top 2 in the 82, bro.
Top 3 for sure.
Top two
It's
in the
Lou Will, Ginobili, and
Crawford.
Manu.
Jay crossover. Yeah.
Manu is easily number one.
Yeah, he's number one.
I think Lou Will's my number one, but
It's probably Manu, then Lou Will, then
Will,
Jay
I
crossover.
love Lou Will. I love fucking Lemon Pepper Lou. He does not fucking sniff Manu's shoe.
What you know about? Yeah, what you know
Manu
about Michael
Ginobili is
Cooper off the
Hall
bench?
of Famer. He's won 4 rings. Fucking
5.
Lou Will is not close.
Here's a question, Rocco. Would you sniff Manu's shoes?
I would do anything. to Manu.
Manu
what if I
Ginobili,
told you?
You know, he caught that bat in the arena too. That was a big moment.
What if I told you
Yeah.
Lou
Lou
averaged
Will ever
more?
got a bat in the
Lou
arena?
Will can never do that.
What if I told you Lou Will averaged more points in more games?
What if I told you
I believe
Lou
it.
Will doesn't
He's a
have 4
scorer,
rings?
but Manu was like more of an all-around player. I think.
Yeah,
Lou's a better
Manu.
scorer, I'd say.
What if I told you that
Manu
man
for
only
sure.
has one 6th Man of the Year award? As a 6th man, I think Lou Will's better. As a
Lou only
player,
has one.
definitely Manu's better.
Mon only has one.
Mon only has one. Luel has 3.
Yeah, but
They
Manu
both
won,
spent like their whole
Manu
career
won
as a
like
6
3
man,
of his
pretty
4
much.
rings coming off the bench.
I think this is. Anyway,
It's
besides
kind of arbitrary because how do you
yeah,
compare those?
it's beside the point. I think all of us have some sort of love for Lou Will. I mean, we
Yeah.
grew up watching him a little bit. And,
NBA 2K13.
he, I love Lou Will. I mean, I hope his retirement goes well.
Yeah, me too.
Hope him all the best.
You know what's crazy? Joe Johnson's yet to retire. That means like 41.
That's crazy.
And he's
like
yet to
Isn't he
announce his
playing in
retirement.
like Big Three though?
Yeah, but still, he played in Big 3 and then literally came
He
back
was,
and played in
and
the
he came back
NBA.
for the Celtics for one game, right?
Yeah. But he hasn't yet to
was-
retire.
Ice Joe. What a
Legend.
fucking player, dude. Dude, on 2K, right? When you get like the 2000s era, I always pick up Joe Johnson because he's like a 76, but he has like A potential, and he's 19, and he's got that fucking silky ass jumper. Holy, what a fucking player!
Yeah, man. I love it. That was just such awkward silence after that.
I think we've probably tired out most of our conversation topics.
I'm
Dog,
today.
tired as shit.
like the 3-minute break when we were figuring out the audio, I just fucking
Yeah.
napped on the desk.
Bro, we're...
But honestly, we should probably wrap. And I mean,
We all have shit to
I
do
feel
today.
like we'll be back next week, probably, or the week after. Who knows?
The week after, guys.
Week after. Damn. So we're gonna be real late on like the.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hey, we'll get reactions to the draft. That's cool. It's fun.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get reactions from
Yeah.
y'all. I'm gonna be on campus.
That's
You
okay.
can record there.
Yeah, man. Figure it
You
out.
can get
homie.
the
Hello?
fucking. You can get the orientation people on the pod.
But
You
anyway,
guys want Steven
our
Knight
next
on the pod?
episode.
Get sweet on the pod.
Yeah, that would be great.
Hey,
Anyway, our next episode we'll have draft reactions
Who
and
knows? Maybe I'll
updates on
record.
it.
Maybe I'll
On
record.
any, we'll have updates on our draft reactions and any sort of news that comes out between now and then. Obviously,
Yeah.
a lot can happen in a week or two. So,
Yeah.
um,
I'm gonna give the viewers
Anyway.
context. This man Rocco has not slept.
nah, and I
It
got
is
work
like-
at 2 until 10 p.m.
We've been recording since like 9 a.m. It's great.
Hey,
We all have stuff to do
shout out,
today.
Pat, if you're watching. I'm sorry for the performance I'm about to put on at Salads, dog.
Crazy.
I'm about to put up that fucking Jimmy Butler stat line.
Anyways, guys. this
Cody
has been-
Snell stat line.
that's a great stat line. 0, 0, 0, and 0
on 28
in
minutes.
28 minutes.
Yeah, there'll be a link in a bio to autism awareness.
Oh my god.
God. Cut that.
Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna have to donate like
Good
$5
night.
to an org now. Yeah,
This
bye
is
guys.
so-
Like, comment,
Bye,
subscribe,
guys.
post noties, Patreon. Y'all know the gist.
OnlyFans.
Only
Yeah.
hit the noti bell, all that jazz, all that fun stuff. Go tell your fucking mailman's dog, walker, grandma. I don't know. All right, bye guys.
Bye.